Leonardo has unveiled his new concept for a next-generation Italian military tiltrotor, officially presented just a few days ago. The ATANXM acronym for Advanced Tiltrotor Aircraft is designed as an evolution of the experience gained with the V609 and the next-generation Civil Tiltrotor Civil Demonstrator in order to explore the full potential of the tiltrotor, or as they are better known, tiltrotors. I want to point out that in today's episode we will be using images from existing models since the new military tiltrotor is currently under development. As you certainly know, the global defense industry has long been looking for new solutions for rotary wing aircraft. Well, tiltrotors are in some ways a fusion of the capabilities provided by fixed-wing aircraft, with the capabilities of helicopters, able to take off and land vertically in confined spaces, and maneuvers that are off-limits to most airplanes. Among the most famous looking overseas, we find the Osprey and the future V208 from Bell Company. We in Europe are also moving to modernize and propose new solutions in the helicopter field, not necessarily tiltrotors. Just a few days ago, Airbus presented a series of conceptual studies for new military helicopters. As part of the National Research Council Next Generation Rotorcraft Capabilities Program, an Italian company, Leonardo has not stood by and watched while the world around it changes. And so today we focus on what we know about this new machine, which fascinates us with its engineering choices. From a configuration point of view, the ATA-NXM takes up some technological building blocks from its demonstrators, but with choices clearly aimed at military use. Francesco Ricci, who wrote this analysis for us, has scanned and carved out some information to give us a profile of this aircraft. First of all, let's look at the wing, which is not swept back like on the V609 but straight. This choice improves stability and efficiency in flight, providing additional lift at high speeds during the transition. Allow me the expression, I know it's not a Power Ranger. That is, when the tiltrotor transitions from helicopter flight to airplane flight. The engines do not rotate along with the wings and the propellers but remain fixed in their position on the sides of the fuselage. This solution allows for a simpler and more compact transmission, improves the aerodynamics of the wingtips, and reduces the mechanical load on the rotors, with benefits in terms of efficiency and maintenance. Immediately distinguishable elements are the small canards under the cockpit, which we also find on other aircraft such as the Eurofighter or the Rafale. They are absent, mind you, on the V609. To put it simply, canards help manage the center of gravity, offering greater freedom in distribution. Dei pesi lungo la fusoliera. The NXM wing adopts the avtail developed for the next generation civil tilt rotor with verticalized tips that reduce aerodynamic interference and improve controllability. The airframe should make extensive use of composite materials, and we should see many of these technologies employed. Taken in fact from the demonstrator mentioned just now, one of the most interesting and relevant aspects of the project is its scalable nature. Leonardo is not proposing a single aircraft, but an architecture capable of covering different weight classes. However, the reference project is sized for a maximum takeoff weight in the range of 11 to 13 tons. Leonardo emphasizes that this architecture will allow the development of the engine to be decoupled from that of the airframe. The tiltrotor therefore will require less power for the same performance, and this makes more production engines compatible, shortening the time frames and above all the risks of industrialization. Although the ATA-NXM is still a concept, Leonardo explicitly presents it as a multi-role military platform, potentially adaptable into several variants based on the same architecture. Now let's take a quick look at the possible roles of this project. Before we continue, however, I want to remind you of something very important. This program can go on air thanks to you, with small gestures you can make right now. Leave a like, share your thoughts on today's topic, and most importantly, share this video on your social media. This helps us a lot to bring you new analyses. And above all, passionate experts like Francesco Ricci. Thank you very much. Well, we've given you a bit of an outline of this tiltrotor aircraft. Now let's try to look at the possible roles of the future tiltrotor. We can examine the capabilities of the only aircraft of this kind currently in use, the V-22 Osprey, a slightly heavier aircraft, by combining the information consulted as sources. Let's start with the classic, transporting troops and materials between forward bases with speed and range greater than traditional medium and heavy helicopters. This tiltrotor would have the possibility to integrate a rear ramp for rapid disembarkation and in contested scenarios. A similar type of platform could approach the mission profiles currently covered by aircraft like the V-22, but in a lower weight class, and above all with a European architecture. Another possibility is the insertion and extraction of special forces deep inside enemy territory, with vertical takeoff and landing, high cruising speed, and long range for this type of operation. The speed of intervention and the ability to operate from confined spaces are essential, benefiting from the performance leap compared to conventional helicopters. We are also here because, as mentioned, there is the possibility of transporting equipment, not just moving gear from point A to point B, with higher speed and the advantage of landing in places like flight decks or terrain that regular airplanes can't access. In real operational scenarios, a tiltrotor could land with medicines, ammunition, and rations, and at the same time evacuate any wounded or VIPs to safety. There is also the possibility of seeing this platform as the brain, eyes, and ears. Transport used for patrolling, reconnaissance, and command and control. Also, thanks to its rather large payload, it should be taken for granted there's no point in hiding behind a finger. Since it was developed for military tasks, it's highly likely that its payload will include various types of weaponry, including those for close support to troops and to ensure security during approach phases in risky areas. As for the timeline, Leonardo has indicated that if the ATA NXM were to evolve into a real development program, the time frame could be reduced by about 50% compared to the V609. This is thanks to the reuse of already mature technologies and the possibility of using existing engines. So, considering that from the start of the project in the mid-90s to the creation of the first prototype in 2003, about 7 years passed, if there were the political will to follow through with this new project or program, we could hope to see a first prototype fly around 2030. Barring any unforeseen circumstances. Obviously, of course, in Italy there is no shortage of current and future platforms that could see the use of this type of tiltrotor, for example the landing helicopter Doc Trieste. So all that's left is to wait and see what moves the Italian defense will make, whose decisions, as we know, or uncertainties could lead to a rapid evolution of the project, or its condemnation to remain in the limbo of good intentions never realized. Just look at the Draco program. That said, now it's your turn. Let me know what you think. We will come back to this type of technology in the future because obviously there isn't only an Italian presence in this field. See you soon on Gens Italia. Sources are linked in the first comment for more info.